Welcome to Module 1, Topic 1, An Introduction to Rapport. Rapport, why some customers remember and respond to your communications whilst others simply ignore them. You've probably had the experience of meeting somebody for the first time and you just click. You find you're so comfortable with them that it feels like you've known them all of your life. On the other hand, there are probably some people that you've known for years, but you've never really connected with them and you don't really know them at all. Well, this is rapport in action, and it should be instinctive. However, in some situations, it might be beneficial to be able to have more rapport with more people more of the time. In any communication, we use a combination of three things. Firstly, content. That's the words and images that convey the actual content. Secondly, tonality, a tone of voice that gives the content a layer of meaning. And thirdly, physiology, that's any physical gestures or attributes that give the communication meaning and also give meaning to the content. Every communication contains all three of these elements, all of the time. It's the effect and the interplay of these elements that govern the level and type of rapport that we experience. Now, we are all hardwired to recognise and interpret these elements at an unconscious level. This is why, as we bring them to the conscious awareness for this training and discuss them and analyse them, it may feel a little strange, artificial or even unnatural. And that's a perfectly normal reaction, and it will soon disappear once you become familiar with the process. We need to consider these elements consciously in order to be more aware of the processes involved, and as you become more familiar with them, they will again become more instinctive. The only difference is that you'll have more control over these elements, and you'll have more choices about the things that you do instinctively. But it's even more important for marketers to understand the mechanics of rapport. Even if the communication is via a TV ad, a magazine article, a poster, a website, a piece of promotional mail, all communications are unconsciously evaluated using the rapport model. And this is why people within your audience who seem at one level to have similar habits and values and needs and motivations will either connect with your message or simply ignore it. Let me give you an example of how this works in practice. Imagine, if you will, that I have a bright red card in my left hand, and in my right hand I have a deep green card. Now imagine if both of these cards represented a brand that was seeking your attention. Let me ask you a few questions about each brand. Which brand has the best customer service, red or green? Which brand would employ questionable tactics to gain business, red or green? Which brand provides the best value for money, red or green? Whilst it's possible to predict answers of green, red, red, based on the rapport associations most people have with those two colours, whatever your choices, the real lesson here is that we humans instinctively make complex judgments based on available information, even if that information is sparse or in this instance non-existent. Because the cards were not physical, they were constructs of your imagination. You see, in that example I chose not to use any tonality and there was absolutely no content. I used the most subtle and often the most powerful element of rapport, the physiology. Success or failure of your communications could well be dependent on your ability to understand the rapport needs of your audience and deliver the most appropriate messaging in terms of content, tonality and physiology. In controlled tests where the rapport needs of an audience have been measured and marketing communication specifically created to match those needs, significant increases in engagement, retention and response have been measured. Many studies have been made of the three factors that influence rapport. The most important and often misquoted one is from the 1967 Journal of Counselling Psychology. It demonstrated the relationship between the three rapport elements. Their potential for impact was 55% from the presenter's physiology, that's the posture, the gestures and eye contact, 38% from their tone of voice, and 7% from the content of the presentation. Now, this has been widely misunderstood as meaning that physiology is 8 times more important than content, which is clearly nonsense. The actual finding was that in certain situations, physiology has the potential to be 8 times more influential than content. Before we show how these basic elements of rapport can be applied to evaluating and improving marketing communications, we really need to cover how it works in face-to-face interactions. So, in Module 1, Topic 2, we'll take a closer look at the first of the rapport elements and the one that has the most potential to influence, physiology.